Halfway through Michael Porter Jr.'s sophomore season, the Denver Nuggets are starting to integrate him more and more into their offense and more into the big three. Actions with the big three involving Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and now Michael Porter Jr. are starting to make their way into the Nuggets playbook, and I'm here to break down those plays, as well as some of the plays I think might be being added to the playbook before long that utilize all three of those guys. We know that Jokic and Murray have really developed a great chemistry in the two-man game, but now that you start to add Michael Porter Jr.'s talents into the offense and into actions that require or involve all three of them, you're starting to see the Nuggets take off even more and their offensive potential take off even more. So to get into it, the first and most common and maybe most obvious way that the Nuggets have used Michael Porter Jr. in their offense is as a floor spacer. And there's two spots that are important to think about Michael Porter that really create a lot of gravity and open up things for the Nuggets offense. The first one is out on the wing. Michael Porter Jr. on the left wing is shooting 50% from three this season, and that's up to 44.4% from the top of the key. He's pretty much a knockdown, don't leave him open type of player, and that creates an enormous amount of gravity for the Nuggets. And just having him there makes things a lot easier for the other guys. We're going to take a look at a couple plays here with him out on the wing, and you're going to take a look at his spacing on the court up top. You run a basic little pick and roll, and just look at how much Sabonis stunts over to try to stop. You got one player on the weak side. This is a single side tag, meaning if you look at Domantas Sabonis, he's the only guy that can sort of provide help side from the weak side, but he also has to cover Michael Porter Jr. So as Jokic rolls, huge threat. As he rolls, Sabonis has to go down and tag, and that leaves Michael Porter Jr. open for the wide open shot. On this one, he doesn't knock it down, but more often than not, he does. And not only does he knock it down, but he also opens up the paint. On this play, you're gonna see by having one of your two big men out on the perimeter, that means you're undersized inside the basket. So one big man on Jokic, one big man on Michael Porter Jr., shot goes up, and you're already in very good rebound position to get it and get a second chance opportunity, which Barton knocks down here. Next video here, you're just going to see Michael Porter Jr. once again, Domantas Sabonis, who's playing power forward, one of your rim protectors. By sticking Michael Porter up at the top of the key and then getting him out on the wing here after a little bit of a two-man game, you're just going to see how it opens things up. You got the switch. Now Sabonis is on him. Miles Turner's out. And of course, that means your rim protector now is Jeremy Lamb. No chance. Again, just watch who's guarding. You know, Sabonis is supposed to be your backline rim protector, but if he's got to worry about the kick out to Michael Porter, then Jokic has a wide open lane to the basket. The other spot the Nuggets have really utilized Michael Porter so far this year is out on the corner. It creates a whole different set of principles for the defense when he's on the wing or on the corner. The lowest man defensively on the weak side is usually your help guy. So if Michael Porter's in the corner, that means the help has to come from him. If he's up on the wing, that drags the big man out, and the big man's not the rim protector. But if he is down low, that creates a lot of wide open corner three-point shots. And of course, on the season, once again, Michael Porter Jr. from the left quarter, 43%, from the right corner, 52%. If you leave him to help, that's pretty much money for the Denver Nuggets. And we're going to take a look here. Here's Jamal Murray. You see him cut through, creating the situation where the defense has to decide between following the cut or staying with him. If we rewind it here and go slow, you see Jokic in the post. The low man down now has to become the help. So he goes over to help. Jamal Murray wisely cuts through at the perfect moment, and now the defense has to decide, do I stay in and help in the paint? Do I stay with Jamal Murray as the cutter, or do I go to Michael Porter Jr.? They chose not to guard Porter Jr., and he makes him pay. And then, of course, if you don't help, Jokic gets to eat. Here we get a nice little pick and roll, high pick and roll action. Get Jokic on a switch. Now we're going to work it around the court to get him a nice post-entry feed, and now you've got to help because it's Jokic against a mismatch. And if you stay on Jokic in the corner, Barton makes an easy cut, and Sabonis right now is trying to decide, do I stick to Michael Porter in the corner? Do I fully rotate? He's too late, and Barton gets an easy layup. Let's get into some plays now that the Nuggets have been running with Michael Porter. And I think the plays are really where Denver is in the early days of integrating him into their offense. The first thing, he has the ability to become unstoppable in the dribble handoff. And this has been the bread and butter for Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, the pick and roll, but even more importantly, the dribble handoff where you put the ball in Jokic's hands. And if we just look at some of the things that make him so impossible to guard here, for one, he's 6'10". He's hyper athletic and he has an incredible jump shot. You watch him on this play here, and he catches the ball, the defense goes under, but because Michael Porter Jr. has those long strides, he's such a threat to get all the way to the basket. Here he receives the handoff, steps right to the foul line, elevates, and it's an easy jumper. They don't run a ton of these types of actions, but as they start to add more and more to their arsenal, you're going to see more and more of this just becoming another unstoppable action. Got another one here. I love this one. It's probably my favorite one because of how well Michael Porter sets it up. In the corner, you're going to see the defense tries to overplay. Little shot fake gets the defense scrambling, and now he gets right to his spot. Perfectly right to his spot in rhythm. Again, watch it one more time. Watch Michael Porter give this nice little jab step and pump fake that gets the defense in the air. Now the defense has to go under. Michael Porter going right into his favorite spot, nothing but net. And then the last one, the most important one, Michael Porter actually goes to the backdoor option more often than not right now at this phase. And it's a great option because he's like Randy Moss, 6'10". If you don't have to beat the defense by more than a quarter step, and Jokic can hit that fade route over the top, and it's absolutely money. But as he becomes even better with the dribble handoff game, you're going to get more and more of that gravity where the defense has to overplay you. Here, you're going to see Jokic fakes the dribble handoff, and now if we pause it here, nobody's inside the paint. Your center is up at the top, and the just little jab step, and you have nothing but a dunk for Will Barton. Next, we're going to talk about some of the interesting plays that the Nuggets are starting to add to their playbook. Some go-tos. These are set plays in the Nuggets playbook. And the first thing I want to talk about is a new play called Delay Screen the Screener. I'm sure the Nuggets have a different name for it. And first, we're going to take a look at what the Nuggets did last year with this play. You get the ball to the top, point guard, usually point guard, gets it to the center, who then reverses the ball. And then you get Jamal Murray coming down here to set this angled screen at Michael Porter Jr., who cuts to the basket. And if the wing player can get that ball over to him, that's money. So that's the play. Let's take a look at it this year when they're running it with Michael Porter Jr. You're going to see you clear out the side, and you've got your big three on the strong side. Michael Porter in the corner, these two guys up top, you reverse the ball, and you get that first screen. And why this is so exciting for the big three in particular, Jamal Murray's a point guard. Jokic is a center. Michael Porter Jr. is a tall wing. Most teams like to switch any type of screening action, especially off ball, but it's hard to switch between Murray and Jokic. That's a 1 and a 5. And it's even hard to switch between a 1 and whoever it is that's guarding Michael Porter Jr. because Michael Porter Jr. is so tall. So teams are reluctant to switch this one, and it allows you to get a little bit more of a step on the defense. Here they go right into the two-man game with those two. Should have gotten a bucket. This was just a really ugly Jokic miss. Another play that they've been running a lot, and this is a really cool one, it's the same action, that same screen-the-screener action. I'm going to call this one Hawk Rip, even though that's clearly not what the Nuggets call it. And you're going to look at it right here. You get this little hot cut, and then Murray comes off of, it's like a little UCLA cut, and then he sets a back screen on Michael Porter Jr., who's going to the basket. And again, the reason this is so impactful is if you get a good screen there and a good setup on the screen, teams can't switch it, and they have to fall behind. Then you immediately go into the two-man game with Jokic and Murray off of this one. The option on this one gets Michael Porter Jr. going all the way to the corner, and then a little flare screen from Monte Morris, so that when the ball swings around, you're able to have Michael Porter Jr. hit it. This one here, you see they do switch. Now they're behind. Jamal Murray steps into a nice, easy three-pointer. It's a great action that the Nuggets have. And then the last one I have here, they've only run this one once, but it's the same idea. This one's called AI Elbow Rip, and it's going to be AI because this used to be called, it's named after Iverson. The 76ers used to always begin with this cut across two screens across the foul line because the defense has to go over, because if you go under, he just pops out here and drains the three. So defense chases, and now look, Murray's lingering here. The whole defense is eyes on Jokic. He's ready to run this action. Back screen, come off the handoff. Perfect. Some future plays that I think the Nuggets are going to be able to run with him. So that exact same action, that screen-the-screener action that uses all three of them and forces teams to decide whether or not they're going to switch. You can add a bunch of different plays to the playbook. And in fact, the Nuggets have a bunch of plays in their playbook that are very similar that they ran last year with Malik Beasley or Juancho Hernan-Gomez that are going to be even more deadly now that you have Michael Porter. And I'll just take a look at a couple of them here. You get the back cut to Jamal Murray. You see this one's with Will Barton, but again, adding Michael Porter Jr. I think is only going to make this more deadly and more difficult for teams to switch. You get that back screen, then you get the little two-man game. This would be with Michael Porter Jr. Let him kind of get into this action, and of course he's deadly from that zone. But there's a lot of trust and a lot of nuance in these plays. A lot of this is about how are you reading the defense. If they guard me this way, I do that. And it's a lot about your teammates reading you. You have to make the quick read initially, and then everybody plays off you. So right now, Michael Porter learning a lot of different things and learning to read the court. But as he gains more trust and understands the nuance more and more, the more the Nuggets are going to be able to add to the playbook and add him into different spots. Right now, I think he's primarily a floor spacer because it's the easiest to sort of read. But as they start to trust him with more and more plays, and as he proves that he has earned that trust, I think the Nuggets playbook is going to get more and more dynamic. It just shows you there's a lot of experience ahead of them and a lot more chemistry to be built over the coming season.